staging folder as well. Hello everyone, we're here again for our second rtcStats update. This one is for November and what we've done in the past month, and the thing that's worth thinking about doing for the next releases. Anything that you'd like to share before we start, Olivier, Fippo?
No. Let's start.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll share my screen real quickly. We decided to do demo accounts per month, so it's easier to share and show what we're doing. It also reminds us what are the things that we're working on. So one of the things that we started was to add moss. We had moss in the charts, but it was hard to find. So if I had to deal with that, I'd need to go to the streams themselves, open a specific stream, and then I think under quality, there's a moss metric here. Okay, I can see the value here. What we've done was add it into the overview as well, so it's available here. Whenever you see the values, you open the overview and you'll get the moss score on average across the whole session. Okay, so that was the first one. The second one that we have is a bunch of new observations. I'll let you talk about this one, Olivier.
Okay, so exactly. So we had a lot of new observation, mainly on the connectivity and for detecting a lot of turn issue we can have during a session. So the example here is for sure a fake example because you cannot have all this issue in the same time. Okay, so but if we look at this issue, we mainly detect four categories of issue. The first is when the issue comes from the client itself.
Mm-hmm.
So we can have, for example, the first one, which is an authentication issue. So mainly this is when you are using bad credentials, or for example, if your tokens has expired. Okay, so it is mainly the both cases for that issue. And then we have all the other client issue. So for example, if you are sending a bad request, if the server is forbidden, so you can't connect to that server, or if, for example, you are sending an IPv6 address and the server is only dealing with IPv4. Okay, so this is mainly a client-side issue. Then the other is when there is an issue on your term server itself. Okay, so this is the third and fourth category. There is no big difference, but this is mainly due to something bad that happened on your server. Okay, so this time it's not a problem with your client, but mainly with your server. Okay, and finally we had an extra one issue that is only detected on client side. This is the 701 issue. Okay, so this is mainly, but not all kind of issue, only when there is a timeout. Okay, so either your client doesn't succeed to connect to your server, or your server is perhaps out. Okay, so you have to debug and to understand the difference between.
Okay, and we'll have these, right, which are mostly informational.
Exactly. So there is a lot of other issue behind the 701 error code, but they are too common, so we don't show. Don't report them.
Okay. One important thing to say: what you're seeing here are observations. These are things that are available only in the developer and enterprise account, not on the free accounts. Now, that said, if you'll go to the logs, you might be able to see these errors here, but you need to go and search them. Exactly. So everything we do in observations is look at the data that is already here and already visualized and just trickle it up to you so you can see it immediately. So that is a huge time saver when you need to debug and troubleshoot issues within these files. Okay, so we've got a bunch of new observations. This time, most of them are on the connections tab, so we'll see them here likely. Okay, the different types of problems. And then, yes.
Yes, just to finish on turn, we have an extra one. If you misconfigured your return server by using internals IP address, so in
Yes.
that case, it will not work, and we are able to detect this kind of issue.
Another big thing that we worked on this time was to, let's say, make the charts nicer to use. Let's take the H.264 one, for example. So what we now have is we've parameterized them here, but that was done in the previous release. But we've also made the legend a lot easier to work with. So if I'll go, for example, to the quality chart, I will see the fact that only mean playout delay is here. The other ones are not, simply because their values are less interesting for me at this point in time. I can click and choose them and add them in, and they're again placed into different categories to make them easier to go and use. This is true for all charts that we have in the system. So now you won't have the information overload that you have in other solutions where you go and see too much data at the same time. So I can go look at the bytes that we have, or go and check the performance metrics, and just figure out what to do based on that type of an information. We try to be very smart at what we show you so that the minimal must is there, and the things that are most relevant to what we think you will need at this point in time will show up immediately, and the rest will be here available for you to just add or remove as you see fit. Okay. Philip, I think you had a few more things to talk about.
Yes, so I worked in the last month on adding native support for rtcStats dump, our file formats that we use in the JavaScript SDK, to Chrome itself.
Okay.
Currently, we're dealing with these two formats, Chrome's webrtc-internals format, which is a giant blob of JSON, which is okay for humans to read, but terrible for machines to parse. And for us, it creates a problem that we have to deal with the better format from the JavaScript SDK and Chrome's format all the time. So we decided to make our lives easier and just move Chrome to the rtcStats format.
Okay, so as you move along, the newer releases of Chrome are going to have a webrtc-internals file that looks like the rtcStats.js files that we use.
Yes.
Okay, anything here that you want me to look at?
No, we have the same support for importing them from the JavaScript SDK as well now.
Okay. So whatever we use, if you're using our SDK or use Chrome, with the webrtc-internals files, you're going to be able to see the same things, relatively speaking.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Now, one more thing that we're starting looking at is the fact that today we have a lot more information to share. So let's open this, turn error issues. If I have a turn authentication error and I see this data, if you're experienced enough and well-versed in WebRTC, that's easy enough to understand what you need to do. What we're trying to achieve, though, is a way for people that don't have that information or are not that savvy in WebRTC data to be able to also understand what to do here. So we are in the process of creating a knowledge base that will somehow link to here. How exactly, we're not yet sure, but we know what data it's going to include, so that these observations are going to have a lot more information in them that will be really easy to go and get by and reach to. That part is also included in the actual charts. So if I'm going to look at a specific chart and see a specific metric, for example, round trip time measurements, there will be some kind of an explanation there to make it easier for you to understand what are good values, bad values, and what that metric even says. Okay, and everything will be in your tip of your handset, so you can go and figure that out immediately without needing to open additional tabs or going into MSDN to read the stuff in webrtc-stats or whatever, in GetStats or other information areas that exist out there.
Like the blog post we wrote. Even I have to go back to them sometimes and be like, what did I write back then? Having it at my fingertips will make even my life easier.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for this time. And hopefully we'll have a lot of new things to show you next month in what we've done until then. So see you then.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.